Just last night, I was speaking to someone I know for many years, and I asked him how he's doing. His wife recently passed away. And he said that many people ask him that question. And he responds, I'm fine. But actually, he says, I'm not fine. He finds it still very, very difficult. The person that he loved and loves, who he imagined that he would be spending till the ripe old age for many more years of marriage with, is no longer there. And I was thinking that this week's Torah portion is called Chayei Sarah, the life of Sarah. Abraham Avinu, Abraham, loses his beloved wife. And really, when he just thought that they would be able to live their ripe old age, having pride from Isaac, who they would hopefully see married and having his own children, and keeping the ideals and the beliefs and the philosophy of both Abraham and Sarah alive, she wasn't going to be around to witness all of that and to be able to have nachas and pride and to enjoy that. So the question really is, what is eternal life? Honestly, if God forbid somebody loses a spouse, I imagine that's a void that will never come back. Children, hopefully they'll move on with their own lives, of course. But you know what? Parenting doesn't have the same full-time presence in one's adult life as it does when they're a child. So of course we love our parents and so on and so forth, but as we engage, if we're lucky enough to have our own families, then that in many ways distracts us, brings us fulfillment. Grandchildren? Well, hopefully if they were around in the times of their grandparents, obviously they would be missing them. If they were young when they passed away, it would be a different story. So what is eternal life? Our friends move on. Maybe we have one good, very close friends that really thinks about our friendship, our companionship, and is missing that. But what is eternal life? Life goes on. And the answer is in this week's Torah portion. The Lubavitcher Rebbe points out, why would you call a Torah portion the life of Sarah if at the very first sentence it's about Abraham finding a resting place for her and then eulogizing her? Because ultimately, eternal life means that there will be people way past beyond your years on this world behaving in a way that you felt was truly, truly important. So the portion tells us that Sarah certainly wanted to see Isaac marry a particular girl, a girl who would share the values of Abraham and Sarah. So if parents believe that nothing short of marrying someone from our own faith, everything else is unacceptable, and our children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren do that, that's called eternal life. If they think this is what grandma or grandpa or father and mother would want, and I will not do otherwise, that's where our life continues to share influence and have influence. If our children have a kosher home, because this is what our parents did, and a question of not eating kosher was unacceptable to them, that's called eternal life. If a daughter doesn't miss a Shabbos because Friday night, this is what we do, we light Shabbos candles, that's called eternal life. Eternal life is that if one generation or two generations or three generations or four generations later, when asked, why are you doing this? And they say, because this is what my parent did, this is what my grandparent did, this is what my great-grandparent did. That's called eternal life. So at the end, we live our lives and we're imagining that we'll be remembered forever. I don't know. Hopefully longer than we think. But when our values continue, then we never disappear. How we accomplish that, I'm not sure. But certainly by being committed to ways and trying our best to pass it on to the next generation and to make them understand why it's important, what's dependent upon it, why the nation of Israel needs it. So let's start thinking about eternal life and living a life that we want, and a behavior and in a participation in Judaism that we would like our next generation to live by. And ultimately they will say, you know why I'm doing this? Because my parents did it, my grandparents did it, and my great-grandparents. They'll say, wow, that's a life that just continues to keep on living. Good Shabbos.